On today's show, we're going to break down a outlandish, crazy, wild, whatever adjective you want to use to describe what Colin Cowherd said the Cowboys should be doing this offseason. Before we get into that, are you a Cowboys fan who just wants success? Whether you agree or disagree with me, other commenters, other media, other fans, whatever, that's fine. But if you are a Cowboys fan who just wants to win games, win championships, come to the right spot. Show it by liking today's video right now. All right, laying the groundwork for what Colin Cowherd said. He kind of does a little intro. Colin's actually very good overall about like setting the scene and using analogies and being an on-air personality. It's just some of his opinions aren't very good. He says Jerry Jones is better with big swings when he's not being conservative, which I actually fully agree with, by the way. We haven't seen Wildcat and Jerry, though, in a very, very long time. He made comments about Dak Prescott versus other quarterbacks. He's not as good as Josh Allen. He's not as good as Patrick Mahomes, which I think almost all of us, if not all of us, would also agree with. He did predict the Cowboys will win no more games because, in his words, the roster is bankrupt, which has some elements of truth to it. I do think this Cowboys team ends up winning more games. But his plan then to fix and save the Dallas Cowboys is this. If I were the Dallas Cowboys, Cowherd said, I don't care about Dak's new contract. I would go get Deion Sanders and I would pick Shedeur Sanders. If I had to give up Micah Parsons and 3 first-round picks, I would do it. There is a lot to unpack with that, I still don't believe he said it, frankly, statement on Dak, on Shedeur, on Deion Sanders as the head coach, and on the Micah Parsons trade. I would rather talk about the games, but the games are kind of over, and this is what a lot of people are talking about, and we'll always do that here on the Cowboys Report. So I'll get to my thoughts on all of those things in just a second, plus some more arguments that Cowherd laid out as part of it. But do you like Colin Cowherd's grand plan, his master plan, so to speak? If you do, type in Y for yes. If you don't, type in N for no. It's a pinned comment on today's show. The ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. Now, I am not a fan for multiple different reasons. There's different elements of that I can see. I get where Cowherd's coming from in parts. Other parts, what are we doing out here, bud? Let's begin with Deion Sanders as the Cowboys head coach, which we have talked about before, so I don't want to spend as much crazy time on it. I like Deion Sanders. He's my all-time favorite football player. I also like him as a college football head coach. And the things that Deion does well in college, this is an elite hype man, marketer, attention getter in a way that's probably why Jerry appreciates him as well. We don't ever talk about Colorado football. Now we talk about Colorado football, and Deion is the reason for it. He can get recruits. He can get transfers. He's able to be that salesman type, the CFB 25 archetype. He's the recruiter. He just got a 5-star quarterback to flip from USC to come to Colorado. As Deion has said in the past, his motivation style, his coaching style, works with kids. Not so much with grown adults. And Deion has said this too. The things that he does well in college, the things that make him work, that have helped him get Colorado into Big 12 championship contention, those don't translate that well to the NFL. And given the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are already a circus, chock full of attention that I find too much to deal with too often, I don't think Deion's a fit in Dallas. I think Deion knows that. I think Jerry deep down knows that. I think there are much better options for you at the head coaching spot. A lot more to come, obviously, on today's show, but it's all made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You simply pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. I like the flex play. It was a Prize Picks invention, by the way. It means you can still cash out if lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money, even if your picks don't hit. Here's one of the Cowboys Commanders Prize Picks slates. My boy Jack Lott already cooked it up. I'm going to ride him. He's been hot. he likes Lamb more than 21.5 on the longest reception. I do love the two Commanders ones as much as it pains me. Brian Robinson more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown, so any score. And Jaden Daniels more than yards on the ground. Download the Prize Picks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That $50 is guaranteed. You don't need to win. You just need to play that first $5 lineup. So use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Let's move to the quarterbacks. Let's begin with Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to preface this by saying season's not over. A lot of stuff can change, pre-draft process, etc. Right now, I do have Shedeur Sanders as my number one quarterback. There's a lot of stuff I like in his game, especially if I can get him away from dad and put him in an NFL ecosystem that's not as prime-timey as it can be in Colorado. But this is not a Joe Burrow prospect. This is not a Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, like no doubt first-round pick quarterback that's going to have consensus first-round grades. That's not who he is as a prospect. There's a lot of stuff he does that I like, that it puts him in my kind of style of quarterback. He's very accurate. He has a quick release. He'll stand in there and take hits. He showcases great touch. The arm strength, although not elite, definitely checks off boxes. He does hold the ball too long. That's not uncommon for young QBs. You can grow and get coached out of that. He does lack overwhelming physical tools. And that's the big thing for me. Beyond the fact that, fair or not, he's going to have to answer questions about leadership like, hey, you threw your offensive line to the bus, you were calling out former teammates. Like, that can cause issues at times. That's what your interview process is for, and I assume he'll be able to pass that because I think he has a very high football IQ as well. But Sanders is not some freaky elite prospect. And I'm actually higher than him than most right now. Here are some of the notable draft rankings out there from Shedeur Sanders. PFF has him at number 21 overall. He's quarterback 3. The Athletic has him number 23 overall at QB 3 as well. Mel's got him number 7, quarterback 1. The Athletic considers all these different sites. The Athletic combines them into one. Got him QB 2 on average, number 16 overall. I think Sanders will be an NFL starting quarterback. I think he can be a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he has the raw physical gifts to likely end up being a top 5, next level up beyond what you have right now. If you might not like to hear this, but if you get a Dak Prescott career out of Shedeur Sanders, that's a really friggin' good pick. You might not like it right now, but you are not quarterback desperate. You are not the Giants. You are not the Raiders, who I do think will draft Shedeur. I think is actually a good fit. You're not that desperate. You kind of lose me when you're a national media guy like Colin Cowherd or Skip Bayless, and you have publicly said, I think Cooper Rush is better, or I don't see any difference. There's a very clear difference. You just also thought Drew Aller was going to be the number 1 pick last year, and we saw how that has turned out so far. Dak's a damn good quarterback. He is the first to admit he did not play, well enough this past year. He played well enough in 2023. Played more than well enough on that front. Just didn't deliver in the postseason. Those are valid things to be concerned about. You're kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, though, if you're trying to overhaul the quarterback side of things. Now, Colin in this video also said it's an 8-month Dak Prescott recovery, which isn't really true. I think there was some bad Lisa Salters reporting there. Todd Archer has already said it's a 3-month recovery. It'll probably be more than 3 because the season's already over, so why are you trying to rush back at that point? But it's not 8 months. I don't really know. I feel like that may have got confused into it was 6 to 8 weeks if he didn't get the surgery. I think somewhere along the line that got overhauled. Look, beyond the contract, which we'll get to in a second, if this was Caleb Williams, different conversation. I like Shedeur. It's not that caliber of prospect, though. It's not like the outcome here. Now, the big issue you're facing, and Colin can say, I don't care about it all you want, it has to be considered here, is the contract. I will give Colin credit. He mentions $90 million cap hit. That's true. It'll be restructured. Also true, $25 million, or $52 million, excuse me. You trade him, it is a $103 million cap hit. There's no way out of that. The new team doesn't know it. That is what you owe. because you already paid him. Now, you can trade him after June 1st, and it gets spread out over 2 years. We're still talking way more than what you would like to have, and you're paying him more than what you'd be paying him if you got him on the roster. It doesn't make sense. The best path is to build around Dak for this 4-ish year window. Go actually be aggressive and set yourself up for real success what you haven't had before. I think Colin's underlying point of this team needing to make a swing is right. You need to make the swing with the rest of the roster, which Colin, as you point out, is bankrupt. More on that in a second. Now, we will have plenty of offseason coverage for you right here on the channel. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/Cowboys TV for free Cowboys videos each and every single day. Let's talk Micah. This was also part of it because somehow we're trading 3 first-round picks and Micah Parsons to go get Shedeur Sanders. The overarching conversation about having a potential Micah Parsons trade, I can see where some of that comes from. You can get assets back. You can get draft picks. You don't have to pay him the big money. You don't like the podcast stuff. Whatever. That's not the argument that Colin Cowherd makes. His argument is, let me take my best defensive player and 3 additional first-round picks to go get a quarterback who I like, but I don't think has a vastly higher ceiling than what I have right now. That's the plan there, which this is where he really loses me. That's your plan? You want to just say F everything except the head coach and quarterback? That's not how smart teams build. So on Micah himself, what would you do with Micah? T for trade, P for pay. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, one thing Cowherd pointed out, or at least claimed, was that he thinks this Cowboys roster is bankrupt. And as Cowherd often does, had I think a pretty entertaining analogy here. He says, you don't get out of bankruptcy putting $113 a month in your 401k. You get out with big swings. Okay. I'm bored with that logic. This plan you just presented, Colin, was trying to get out of bankruptcy by taking your paycheck and saying, let's go play the lottery. Let's see what happens. It might work. The lottery's a sucker's bet. Don't play it. You're never going to win. What Colin is forgetting to mention here is this roster is bankrupt. I'm trading away 3 first-round picks and Micah Parsons. I am putting Shedeur Sanders in a terrible spot. Fit matters so much in the NFL. It can make or break careers more frequently than I think we really want to admit. How do I get better with $100 million in dead cap? I am down 3 first-round picks. Let's pretend it's the one I spend this year, so it's only 2 extra ones. And my best defensive player. How do I make my team better doing that? When the picks I might get from trading Dak don't come till next year, or you have no leverage because you're taking him and you're drafting Deion, or taking Deion and drafting Shedeur later. How do I get better doing that? I'm blowing my 2 biggest assets, first-round picks and all that cap space. I do agree with Colin that I think a big swing is needed because I am tired of this team playing it down the straight and narrow. They don't take risks on either side. This is not the way to go about it. It'd be a different conversation if you hadn't paid Dak already. It'd be a very different conversation. When I'd be all for taking Shedeur at that point. It'd be a very different conversation if you had an elite Caleb Williams-esque prospect if you flipped it from this year to last year. That's not where you're at. That's not a good idea from Cowherd.